Excuse me, sir, your pension is gone. This is how I do my homework. Brandon Gentili here. This is how I do my homework. So I hope and pray that I don't end up in a situation like this where, as Jim Rohn says, when you leave your retirement in the hands of the government, you can divide by five at the end of your life, and you put it in your own hands. You can multiply by five. And this goes with companies in a company's hands or someone else's hands or a financial planner. If you put it in someone else's hands, you can divide by five. If you put it in your own hands, your own family office, you can multiply by five. One of my good friends just told me a story about his father who used to work at Delphi in Michigan. The great financial crisis crash was 12 years ago, where they cut all white-collar workers' pensions and in retirement plans. This was across the board. He was brought in one day, sat down, and told how it was going to go. Rick, we have bad news. Your pension is getting drastically cut. Everything you've worked decades for, it's going out the window. Working decades under the illusion that everything you had worked for would be there so you could enjoy your golden years, spend more time with your family, with your spouse. Nope, big lie. Too big to fail meant you don't get what you worked for and left your family each day for and spent that time at work instead of them so we can bail out politicians and elites. Printing currency. Notice a theme here through all of our videos, all of our blog posts. Printing currency, the evil of inflation, the evil of the elites, evil of printing currency in the Federal Reserve and the central banks everywhere. Printing currency, increasing inflationary costs, and bailing out the elites. This happened across the board at many companies. Those who were looking to retire at that time were either thrown back into work, scrounging for their living expenses, or going on the government dole. By the way, Rick now only gets around $900 a month of his pension, a fraction of what he was promised and what he worked decades for. Again, this is something I just tweeted out recently too. Capitalism is deflation. It's getting more for less money. It's ephemeralization, as Bucky Fuller would say. Doing an entrepreneur, providing jobs, providing goods and services at a better price. Always. That's the job of an entrepreneur. Providing jobs, providing services, providing goods for people at a better competitive price. That's deflation. We have been sold this bill of goods for centuries that inflation is good, and it's opposite. Communism and socialism runs off of inflation. That is the system. And if until we start understanding that, we're gonna have massive problems. We just saw Sri Lanka storming the palace, resigning. We're seeing assassinations. We're seeing all kinds of insane things happen because this is just a cycle of life, and we continually redo the things we've already done in life instead of learning from them. Robert Kiyosaki always talks about those who come to him and ask, what should they do with their cash? Hey, I have $10,000. What should I do with it, Robert? He always directs them to spending it on educating themselves and developing skills. Kiyosaki reiterates, if you don't have the skills necessary to grow your wealth, you can be sure hucksters will be there to take it and manage it for you. You can't just tell someone where to put their money because there's much more to it than that. When do I take it out? Do I short things or do I go long? Do I hedge? Speaking of that, what does that even mean? Is an IRA better for me? Or do I not believe in the government long term? Should I invest in an asset I don't even know about and understand how it affects my portfolio? Do I understand how to change those investments as the market changes? These are just some of the few hundred questions you can ask that will alter how you invest. Getting hot tips from somebody only gets you so far and usually never works out. Even if a hot tip did work out and you sold at the right time, got in the right investment, and then sold at the right time, just the small fraction, the chance that happens, you would still be left with a huge tax bill most likely. So how do you minimize taxes? How do you get rid of taxes completely? Can you answer these questions? We know that mathematically Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid won't be there at some point in the near future. These are the government's own numbers and the government's own calculations. Even if you get paid out, it'll be through bailouts from the government that will increase inflation, and cost of everything will go up and your purchasing power will go down anyway. So it will cancel itself out, if not be worse. Your bailouts, your retirement will actually purchase you less. So what to do? That being said, there are some sites that I use to inform myself in my investing so I can hopefully make sound and responsible decisions running our family office and putting the control in my own hands. As I try to do, I would rather die on my own sword than someone else's. I'm not a day trader and don't try to time markets. I want to try and foolproof what I'm doing as much as possible. I like long time horizons and looking back at charts with a long scope, preferably 50 plus years, maybe 100 years, so I can get a good idea of where the trends are going. The trend is your friend. I want to position myself fundamentally with where the world is headed, whether it's tech, AR, VR, commodities, using green energy. It's going to be gold and silver. They're to use more. Bitcoin, it's the digital world we're going to be in. This is why I want to position myself in those long-term trends. Here are some of the resources I use on a daily basis to keep informed and stay ahead. Some of the YouTube channels I'm watching constantly to stay up to date. And these are my teachers, my real life teachers, the people that are actually investing their own money, have businesses, and actually in the market today. Instead of, as Kiyosaki talks about, teachers that are just in a classroom teaching out of textbooks and never done the real thing. I try to be very careful with who my teachers and my mentors are. Gregory Mannarino is truly one of a kind. If you want really all these people, there's no filler, there's no bluster. It's just, it is what it is. These are the facts. These are the stories. This is what's actually happening. Trader University, Matthew Cratter, Mark Moss, Natalie Brunell, Robert Kiyosaki, Daniel DiMartino Booth, who's a Fed insider, a former Fed insider, George Gammon, and the Rebel Capitalist Channel. These are all incredible, incredible people, real investors, real entrepreneurs right now that are doing things that have made big waves in the world and have been very successful. And then some sites I use to do macro analysis. WTF happened in 1971. Again, there's links to all of these as well. So they're all underlined. There's links right to the very place I'm talking about here. FRED is the Federal Reserve economic data, and getting, again, the data right from the horse's mouth. Shadow Stats, which really shows you, John Williams does a great job showing you what is actually going on in the world, and seeing and reading between the lines and seeing what's actually going on, using charts from 50, 100 years ago, data points, because the governments have skewed a lot of the data now, so they give you fake charts now. So he used a lot of the old charts, a lot of the original data, and it really sheds a light as to what's actually happening right now, and it's mind-blowing when you see. And this is what I use sometimes, his charts when I show inflation, unemployment numbers they're drastically different than what we're told in mainstream media. These are the charts I'm usually using from his site. Macro Trends is also incredible. The 10-year Treasury yield is just a link to CNBC following the 10-year Treasury. As so goes the debt market, the credit market, so goes the rest of the world. So goes the equity market. So this is really the tail, or the dog that wags the tail here. The 10-year Treasury yield, kind of the benchmark yield. So you want to see which way things are going in the world. And remember, they're inverse. Rates are inverse, so we want to be seeing if rates are going up, then that means people are buying bonds like crazy. The central banks are buying bonds, and it's driving the price of bonds up, and yields are going down. If yields are going up, that means people are selling off bonds. People are selling out. Central banks are selling out, and so it's driving the prices of the yields up. I am forever a student, and I will never be an expert at any of this. And I never claim to be. It's not financial advice, and this is financial advice. I'm just using my mentors, my teachers, as a guide to formulate my opinions. Formulating my own opinions and making my own decisions with our entire portfolio has been one of the most freeing activities I have ever undertaken. And I can't understate that enough. It really is one of the most satisfying, gratifying things I have ever done, because I feel in control. I feel like I know what's going on. I had the vocabulary for studying this for 10 years to understand what these people are talking about, what they're saying, so I can position myself, my family office, our businesses, the residents we have, everyone around us in the right position to do and make the right moves at the right time. The feeling of liberation and control of your situation is very real, profound, and I like I said, I cannot stress that enough. So stay strong. I hope you are preparing gold, silver, Bitcoin, food storage, energy, water, shelter, getting some gardening, energy sources, getting prepared for what's coming. And we're going to have some articles about the food shortages, the supply chain issues, all the things that I'm seeing from every walk of life. You're seeing this from everywhere, and that's how you know things are getting crazy. So be prepared. If you want to see some of our other videos, like I said, saving not in dollars, but in things of assets, food storage, gold, silver, Bitcoin, real assets, rental properties. Our last video is savers are losers. If you're saving dollars, as Robert Kiyosaki says, you're a loser. And he means that in many ways. So go check that out. If you're curious as to what that means, the video before that and the blog post before that, how do you measure your wealth? Wealth is measured in time. So how do we measure our true wealth? Those are just some of our last couple of videos you can go check out in the playlist here and the blog list. And I appreciate you guys more than anything. If you like the video, please like it. Please subscribe to the channel. It helps us obviously know we're doing things the right way. If you don't like it, please dislike. Please give us comments so we can help get better and provide better value to you. And lastly, I appreciate your time, your attention, your energy. It's the most important asset we truly have, speaking of assets. And I appreciate you spending with me here. And we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one.